sport mode. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the all-new 2022 Ford Maverick XLT Hybrid, and we're going to be going over real-world fuel economy in today's video. But first and foremost, we're going to do a quick walk-around review on it, and so with all that being said, let's just hop right into the video. So under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 2.5 liter four-cylinder that's paired to a CVT automatic and a hybrid system. And you know, hybrids are a little bit complicated with the power figures. So what you need to know is total combined horsepower is 191. If you're running from a gas perspective only, 162 horsepower, 155 pound-feet of torque. And then in terms of the battery peak, at peak it's 173 pound-feet of torque. So, you know, it's got enough pep in its step. Now let's go over the front end of this Maverick XLT, and first off, I love the bright blue on the Maverick. It definitely fits the hybrid theme overall too. Anyways, sorry about the truck being a little bit dirty. It's been raining on and off all day today, and so if I go and wash it, it's going to be kind of pointless because then it's just going to rain again. But aside from that, you guys can see here we've got the raised part on either side of the hood. It kind of makes it look a little bit more like the F-150 from a hood perspective. Coming down below, you've got the reflector LEDs, which are actually really bright at night. And then notice how the front grille is actually darker. You've got the Ford logo there in the center. And then you guys can see here off to the side with the little lights. And then you guys can see here down at the bottom again, dark plastic. So you can see the contrast between the darker plastic elements and then the bright blue looks pretty good overall. And well, if you look at it right from this angle, it kind of looks like an SUV. Coming around the side here, we've got two 25mm tires wrapped around 17-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And you can see here with the coloration on the wheel, it's a dark metallic gray, kind of similar to the elements there on the front where they were kind of like a darker gray, so it contrasts nicely to the bright blue on this particular truck. And then there's a quick look at what you can kind of see of the front suspension and the tires. You guys can see you've got the indentation just like on the F-150, XLT badge right here. And then notice the door handles and everything match the little badging right there. And other than that, there is your full side view on the truck. And then here's a quick look. Notice we have a little splash guard right there at the rear suspension and that. And notice how there's kind of like a wheelhouse liner, so it protects everything here and it makes cleanup a little bit easier. So here's a key fob for the hybrid Maverick. You've got the Ford logo here on the back. It does have the flip out key. You've got the unlock, the lock, and the remote start. Now unlocking it and dropping down the tailgate, make sure that you hold it as you drop it down because it is not dampened. 1,471 pounds of payload capacity. Pretty impressive for this little pickup truck. You guys can see here with the spray and liner. LED light, we have a full power outlet back here as well. You can see the rails here at the top, which you can slide those down for the cargo tie downs, which is pretty great. You have a cargo light there at the very top. And overall, it's really practical from a bed perspective. And then lifting up the tailgate, it's really easy. I mean, I lifted it up with 3 fingers, so that's pretty cool, but that's all that. I just realized I ended that clip with saying that's all that instead of that's all for that. So I'm gonna leave that in the video because it's hilarious. But anyways, you've got the taillights here in the Maverick. Now this is the part that doesn't necessarily look the most modern, right? Because it's not LEDs or anything like that. But overall, I think it looks pretty cool and it matches the design of the truck. And you can see you got Maverick stamped into the bed. You've got your hybrid badge, you've got the Ford logo, and then there's a camera right there at the bottom of the logo. So it's very nicely integrated. 2,000 pounds of towing capacity here in the rear. And there you go. So here's the door panel in the rear, which I'm actually a huge fan of. So first off, we have this padding that's very nice. That's where you're going to rest your arm. And then I love the orange trim here and then the white because it makes the interior feel a little bit more open, a little bit larger overall. Oh, this is where my gloves went. I was looking for those things. Anyways, you guys can see here with the seats, again, kind of continues the design there on the door panel, lighter with the orange stitching right here. And then you guys can see the kind of like bluish gray. I think it looks really good overall. And then popping in here, something to mention, legroom is somewhat cramped. I'm about 6 foot. You guys can see headroom. Headroom's great, it's just legroom, it's a little bit more on the cramped side. And then you guys can see here, you've got the USBs, and then you have the full power outlet, all that fun stuff. And then this pulls down to be an armrest and a couple of cup holders. And let's head to the front. Now here's a door panel at the front. You guys can see the padding is the same as what you have in the rear, and then you've got the light trim with the orange, and then all of our window controls, and then the mirror adjustments, door lock and unlock. And you can see we've got blind spot mounting here for the mirrors, and yeah, just love the overall design here. Now popping to the front seat, again, you can see it's just like the back seat with the lighter cloth trim, orange stitching. I can see that kind of like the bluish gray there in the center. Power adjustments on the side of the seat, and then you can see the pedal layout down below. We've got our light control right here. And then you can see that is for the cargo light, the gas cap release. Steering wheel is manually adjustable. And, well, there's what we're looking for. We pop in. So here's our steering wheel in the Maverick. You guys can see that you've got really nice trim here all around the steering wheel. You've got the stitching there in the center. And overall, it's a nice feeling steering wheel. Controls here for the center stack. Voice command, phone controls, volume controls, cruise control here on the other side, turn signal stock, windshield wiper stock, and that's all for the steering wheel. So here's the center gauge cluster. You can see on the left side, you've got the hybrid information, right? Whether you're charging or using power, all that fun stuff. And then on the right side, you guys can see the speed. And then here in the center, you guys can see the average fuel economy. So let me tell you how this rating came about. This was mostly highway driving at about 75 to 80 miles per hour. So I think that's pretty good. Now, in terms of real world fuel economy, that's so hard for me to say for some reason. On the highway, depending on how fast you're going, you can average anywhere from mid 30s to high 30s. So like if you're driving like 60 miles an hour, yeah, you'll probably get high 30s, maybe even 40 miles per gallon. But if you're driving 75, 80 miles an hour, maybe a little bit more, expect low to mid 30s in terms of fuel economy. Around town, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to get 40 miles per gallon. This truck is really efficient, and I'm surprised, you know, because living here in Utah where I'm at about 4,500 feet elevation for most places, being able to get the EPA rated fuel economy I think is very impressive. And so yeah, that's all for that. Now popping here into the center, you guys can see we've got the center infotainment system. We do have trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. And then you guys can see here, we can zoom in right there so you get a better viewpoint. And you can probably hear the beeping. That's kind of what hybrids and electric vehicles do. Now, as for the rest of the infotainment system, response time with the screen is really good. And also it does have ambient lighting, which you can turn up, which we will turn up because you know what? That's what we're all about. I'm sure you guys are wondering about the sound system since we're going over the infotainment system. It's actually really good in the truck. I wouldn't consider it a premium sound system, but it definitely gets the job done. And then there's a storage space here next to the infotainment system, which is kind of interesting. Analog controls down below the infotainment system for like the radio, and you guys can see all of the orange accenting here with the vents, which I think looks cool, and then the white accenting here on the dash, and then kind of like the blue here at the very top, which is definitely nice. It has a single zone climate, heated seats here for the front, USBs, and then a bunch of storage space here, a couple cup holders, and then you guys can see here we've got our transmission selector, and then you guys can see you've got your parking brake right here, and then more storage space, and then we have our traction control. That's for your auto hold. This is the drive mode select. So these drive modes will actually pop up here. And you guys can see that there's a normal, tow haul, slippery, eco, and then sport. If you guys are wondering, I've been driving it in normal mode. Haven't even been driving it in eco mode. So the fact that I'm able to get the fuel economy numbers that I have been getting while testing this truck, I think is pretty impressive. Now here is the center console. You guys can see the storage space within that. And then we've got the glove box, pretty normal. Sunglass holder, all that fun stuff. And then this is a manual mirror dimmer. Now, as for the rear window, it does open, but it's manually operable. So here's the window sticker for this Maverick XLT. You guys can see Velocity Blue for the exterior color. If you're wondering what this color is called, that's beautiful, right? And then feel free to freeze frame if you want to read all of the standard equipment. And then this truck has a few options added to it. The XLT comes with a decent amount of stuff, but the biggest thing is the XLT Luxury package. Now the XLT starts at like over $22,000. You can see there's not a price on this because this is a, I believe, it's not a pre-production car, but it's basically not like a regular production Maverick. But that's why there's not an EPA rating for it either. Anyways, pricing with this Maverick, so just over $22,000 for the starting price. I can't remember if that includes destination charge or not. But after you add some options like this particular truck, you're going to be kind of like mid-20s. So for the price of like a Honda Civic, you can get this pickup truck that gets better fuel economy. Let's take it out and see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. There's your visibility of the hood. both the mirrors. We should do a blind spot throughout the rest of the rear. And, well, let's set off. We're setting off here on the Maverick Hybrid, sport mode. This thing actually has decent acceleration, to be honest. It's not fast, right? You guys heard the power figures, 191 horsepower. But it actually, you know, it moves. You know, unlike something like a Prius or, you know, just like stereotypical good gas mileage hybrids, right? It actually moves at a pretty decent pace. So I think that is, I think that's pretty cool. I'm gonna, actually, you know what, we'll keep it in the sport mode for a minute because we gotta do a little bit of fun driving. But let's kind of talk about how the Maverick actually drives now. So first off, ride quality, because this is unibody, not body on frame, is actually really good. It just drives like a car, right? You don't even realize that this has a pickup truck bed when you're driving it. You just, if you're used to driving an SUV or a car, when you pop in this, it's gonna feel, you're gonna feel right at home. Front wheel drive always feels fun. You definitely do get sometimes a little bit of torque steer, but it's not bad at all, actually. It's pretty minimal. I was very surprised. I thought this would torque steer quite a bit more. And I thought it would slip out quite a bit more because I've done quite a bit of rain driving, a little bit of snow driving too. And it seems like it did fine. So that's not an issue whatsoever. We're gonna pop it into normal mode now. And then in terms of like the comfort with the seat comfort's really good. The bolsters are nice and they hold you in place. They're wide enough though that if you're a bigger person, you'll be able to fit in these seats, and they're really nice, especially the heated seat function. It's a great experience. I definitely would recommend getting the XLT just because of some of the nicer features you get. And this, like I said, this has the XLT like luxury package or whatever. I think this is a nice happy medium. The Lariat does add some extra features, but I don't know if it's necessarily worth the extra cost. I think this XLT is kind of like the package to get with the new Maverick, you know, in terms of getting the best bang for your buck. But let's obviously talk about gas mileage. I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. It's very easy to get really good gas mileage with this. You guys can see even hammering on it, right, for a little bit, and not exactly doing the most fuel efficient driving, still able to keep it up above 34 miles per gallon. And to get up here, by the way, I had to go up a bunch of hills, right? And, you know, having to get into the throttle quite a bit, it always gets good gas mileage. It's a very efficient vehicle. It's super impressive, I'd have to say. And so that'll actually kind of get me into summing things up here with this new Maverick Hybrid. So first off, exterior wise, I don't think we could ever call this a beautiful vehicle by any means. It's not what this truck's about. It looks like a little pickup truck thing. Yeah, like I said, I just wouldn't call it beautiful. But it's functional looking, right? Interior wise, I really like the interior. I like the accenting. I like the seats. They're very comfortable. Everything just looks like, again, really nice. And like I said, this XLT package is a really good value. I've reviewed, I think, like 1 or 2 Lariats now. And I mean, the seats are really nice in the Lariat. They look really cool, but I just don't know if I'd shell out the extra money for it. But that's just me, right? And then from a driving characteristic perspective, it's a unibody vehicle, so it drives like a regular SUV. It really does. And so you're getting, you know, a really good payload capacity, almost 1,500 pounds, tows 2,000 pounds, can get 40 miles per gallon, right? Pretty easily, right? Like I said, if you just drive it around town like a sane human being, it's very easy to get about 40 miles per gallon. And it's just, there's so much to this vehicle, and then it's not very expensive, right? This one, as tested, I think it would be about, I think like 20, I might be off by a little bit, but like $24,500, somewhere like about $24,000 roughly, maybe a little bit more, give or take, right? And so for $24,000, right, that's like a Honda Civic. You're getting a pickup truck bed, really good fuel economy, better than like a Honda Civic actually, right? Better fuel economy than something like a Toyota Corolla, whatever, right? Little compact cars that are in this price range. And it's just like, there's so much utility to this. You guys know my feeling about the Maverick and this hybrid too. It's a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Like, there is no other vehicle at this point under $30,000 that is as good of a value as this. Ford has completely changed the game. And so, yeah, if you're looking for a new vehicle under $30,000, I don't care what you're looking for, you have to check out the new Maverick. Drive it, and you'll realize that this is probably what you're gonna wanna own because of all the utility to it and the fact that, again, it gets gas mileage as good as cars, but there's, yeah, amazing. That's all I gotta say. Now that's going to sum things up for our video on this 2022 Ford Maverick Hybrid. I will see all of you in that next video.